Hi, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons here at the GEOINT Symposium 2022 in Denver, Colorado. I have the pleasure of talking with Hydrosat, Peter Fossel. Peter, go ahead and introduce yourself in terms of who you are, what you do. But before we dive into the company too, I also want you to help us understand how you got into the geospatial community.
Great. No, thank you, Adam. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the opportunity. It's great to be here. Peter Fossel, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Hydrosat. Hydrosat is a venture-backed commercial satellite company. We've been around for about 4 years, and we focus on high accuracy temperature data or high accuracy thermal infrared data from satellite. And that's what we're about. So we're about filling what we see as a commercial gap in high resolution, high accuracy, very timely, so high temporal revisit thermal infrared data.
Excellent. So that you actually have sensors that are going up eventually?
That's correct. So we will be a satellite operator. We have a satellite going up in a little less than a year on a SpaceX mission. That'll be our first of our own satellites, and we also work extensively with data from partners such as NASA and the European Space Agency, and we've been doing a lot on the processing side as well, so that we can fill that high resolution, high revisit gap even before our first satellite goes up.
Excellent. And so why infrared?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of commercial interest and commercial investment that's gone into other parts of the spectrum, visible, SAR, near infrared. Thermal infrared is really one that has been missing in terms of what's available commercially. There's a lot that you can do with temperature anomaly detection. I mean, you just think about all of the data that the Earth is generating. Earth's radiating heat all the time, and whether it's in the agriculture space, whether it's a crop field that's under stress, that shows up in its temperature. Whether it's a ship on a dark ocean, backdrop, I mean, that has a temperature signature. And so there's so much intelligence that we can gain about the Earth, natural phenomenon, man-made events, and that story is being told in temperature, and we don't have the right level of satellite capacity to be able to collect that and to be able to tell that story at high resolution on a daily basis. And so that's what we're trying to do.
What kind of resolution are you striving to achieve?
Yeah, so we're looking at what we call sort of field scale within agriculture. Sub field level, so that we can really get down, in the agriculture setting, get down to the row, get down to the crop.
So we're talking about, sounds maybe more like a 5 meter resolution?
It's a little higher than that. So in thermal, we have to compare to the best civil available data set that's out there today.
Which is Landsat?
Which is Landsat, that's right.
Or Sentinel?
That's correct. So Landsat, the thermal bands are about 120 meters per pixel, which they then downsample. And so that's really the best available today. And so we are going to be significantly higher resolution than that. And then on top of that, we can also do our own processing, to bring that down even further.
Now, just like Landsat or Sentinel, or even actually diving into more equivalents that there is, such as VIIRS or MODIS.
Absolutely.
Are you striving to do any type of nighttime with this as well?
Absolutely, and that's a great question, Adam. And so one of the great things about thermal infrared data is that we can collect both day and night. And a lot of those stories that we can tell with the temperature data, we can tell them in some cases even better at night. So think about industrial activity or a flare stack or something else that's generating a lot of heat. That heat source burns even brighter against the cold nighttime backdrop, and we can collect that at night when other visible satellites are not able to pick anything up. And so, it really opens up an additional, I like to say, it opens up another half of the day for imaging opportunity. And that's a great thing about, the infrared bands.
Is there anything unique that you are doing in terms of making imagery easier or more accessible? I mean, it's one thing to collect in infrared, but I also think the shift that we're seeing in imagery right now is there's a lot of providers coming out with unique differentiators for simplifying the imagery workflow, for getting access to it from a tasking perspective or requesting imagery, or licensing issues, or perhaps even trying to understand what the pricing needs are for topics such as machine learning.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And so you mentioned tasking. I think that's an area where I think it makes sense to stop and talk about for a minute. So one of the things that's unique about Hydrosat and how we collect is we do always-on continuous monitoring mission. So there's actually no tasking requirement.
So it's like a planet version of infrared. A lot of what Planet did, paint the globe, every day collect, no matter what. You don't have to worry about tasking. That's
correct.
Awesome.
So and the great thing about that, Adam, is that all the data is stored in a library. And so if a customer comes to us and says they want data from today, that data is available for them, no need to task in advance. If a customer comes to us and says, I want data over this AOI from today and from yesterday and from 3 years ago, all of that data is there, and it can be easily brought into their workflows because it's all archived and it's
That's
all
simple.
been processed. And so we really are, from the delivery model perspective, trying to remove a lot of the friction, remove a lot of the barriers. That helps us, serve markets and use cases that, because of, traditional tasking ConOps, have been very difficult to serve. And so, we're all about ease of doing business, ease of getting data to the customer, into the customer's workflow, whether it's via API, whether it's, via the cloud. But it all starts with that continuous collection, continuous monitoring mission, and that data archive.
Excellent. Awesome. Is there any last minute things you'd like to talk about in terms of Hydrosat?
I would just say this is an incredibly interesting time, I think, for our industry. We think about what's going on in Europe, particularly with the war in Ukraine, and there's a couple things that really brings to light for me. The one is how the entire commercial geospatial industry has stepped up to provide data that's been really useful for governments, for commercial companies, and for the media. I think that's great for the whole industry. Another thing that it makes me think about is food security. So, this is going to be a very difficult year for a lot of people. There's a lot of commodity price fluctuation. Our global wheat supply is going to be significantly constrained. And so in order to have satellite data out there that is really geared towards being able to assess food supply, assess crop security, food security for anywhere in the world, I think this is of paramount importance. And so we're just happy to be part of the industry. We're happy to be bringing a new data set online that I think can add a lot of value alongside many of our other industry partners. And I think it's a very interesting time for geospatial.
Excellent. And one of my last questions for you is the GEOINT Symposium here in Denver. While you're in preparation to get your birds in the air, what have you seen here that has helped inspire you or kind of make you think, the industry is going into a interesting direction in terms of trends? Yeah,
absolutely. So, we've had so many great conversations here, and so many friends and industry partners here, and one of the things that I've been more and more struck by over the years in this industry is how much more of an emphasis there is on data fusion and being able to bring a lot of the different capabilities that different providers have to bear on a particular problem set, and that I think just opens up a lot of opportunities. So when I walk around and have conversations here, I find more potential partners than I probably would have in the past. Because there are, I think, just new ways, for everyone to collaborate, and new ways that you can bring different data sets, whether it's thermal, SAR, RF, together using, geolocation data to bear on, on new problem sets. And I think that's tremendously exciting, and I think that we're very open to more partnership, and I love seeing that in the industry.
Excellent. So for those watching this and are interested in Hydrosat, how do they keep an eye on you, watch you, read about you? What do you have? What's the website?
Yeah, absolutely. So website's really simple. It's hydrosat.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, and just reach out, and we'd love to see how we can help. We'd love to learn how we can work together, and yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Peter. And this is Adam Simmons with Project Geospatial here with Hydrosat. We'll talk to everybody next time.